LeBron James all the way in.
Here comes Simmons the other way, 3-on-2. Simmons eludes the defender and lays it in with that. Certainly the length altered that shot. Out of it quick up steps. Crutches.
Play right there. Porzingis from Jennings. Throw down and a foul.
Irving, splits the defense with the dribble.
All right, guys, we're back after talking all the way from 76ers to the Thunder. We're here to talk about some power rankings. So, of course, if you don't know, let's just go over the top 10 so people know.
This is ESPN, by the way.
ESPN, always a preface. ESPN is going to be the list for power rankings. So, let's start off with number 1, the Boston Celtics. Number 2, Golden State Warriors. Number 3, the Houston Rockets. Number 4, the San Antonio Spurs. Number 5, the Raptors. 6, Minnesota. 7, Detroit. 8, Cavaliers. 9, Denver Nuggets. And 10, Washington Wizards. With some shout-outs, hold up. Somehow the Oklahoma City Thunder are 12. Milwaukee's 13. Philadelphia at 14. Maybe I should just read them all. Let me read them all. Memphis Grizzlies at 15. Pelicans at 16. Magic at 17. The Knicks at 18. Pacers at 19. Jazz at 20. 21 Miami Heat. 22 Clippers. 23 Charlotte. 24 LA Lakers. 25 Brooklyn Nets. 26 Phoenix Suns. 27 the Kings. Shout out to De'Aaron Fox. 28 Dallas Mavericks. 29 Atlanta Hawks. And number 30, rounding off the list, are the Chicago Bulls. A lot of names, a lot of teams that we went over, but I think you had a controversial statement, if I'm not mistaken, in our production meeting.
I honestly don't think it's that controversial.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think the Celtics are the number 1 team in the league.
Really?
Like, even after their win against Golden State is still number 1. Golden State had like a crazy, awful shooting night, which just doesn't happen.
Right.
And let's bring it to the playoffs, right? Because you got to think. I know this is week in, week out power rankings, right? But if you're ranking these teams, you got to take into consideration what the playoffs is going to bring for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a 7-game series between the Celtics and Golden State, the chances are pretty great that Golden State isn't going to shoot the way they did against Boston the other night. Every night in the 7 games.
Right.
They're probably only going to do that once or twice, if they do it at all. So Golden State against this Celtics team, I love this Celtics team.
Right.
They're still, if anything, they're getting 1 win against Golden State. Maybe a little harsh, but I really don't think they're stacking up against Golden State when it counts.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I
figured that was coming.
I think the Celtics team is really good, even though I'm wearing a Utah Jazz practice shirt. I'm still a Celtics fan, and I think the reason why I picked them, and I think that game is indicative of what's going to be coming not this year, because, I still don't think that they're ready for it. Mm-hmm. But in the years to come, I think the Celtics team is well coached, and we'll talk about that later point with Brad Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
They're well coached, and they're around a system that works really well for that team, and Kyrie fits that system like a glove. I think this is the system that Kyrie fits perfectly in. I think this works for him better than it did with Tyronn Lue, which he became a one-on-one player. Yeah, which he doesn't like. And he said that in interviews before. I just think this team right now, going week by week, they're on a 15-game win streak right now. Mm-hmm. Played a hard game against Golden State. Mm-hmm. Even though Golden State didn't shoot very well, it was still a good game.
It was a good game.
Kevin Durant made his shots. Steph Curry made his shots. You have to make them when it counts. And I think they didn't do that.
My one point, right, and I think I didn't explain it well enough, because you can have a bad shooting night and it be chalked up to actual good defense, which Boston is the best defense in the league. But Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, they were missing some open threes in that game. If you go back and watch it, they missed some open threes that they don't miss usually. A lot of them, which that doesn't happen, and chances are it's not happening the next night. It probably wouldn't have happened any other night. I don't know. I just don't think. And your point about the Celtics being good in a couple years, they're already really good, but they're gonna keep getting better. I just think right now, Like they're.
I mean, if we had to put them in a scenario right now where they're in the NBA Finals, Celtics versus Warriors, I do think, and I'll agree with you, that the Warriors will win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. I think it'll be a 4-3 series.
Ooh, that's bold. I think that's much more controversial than my point.
I just think the defense is just that good for the Celtics. I mean, every time they've played, it's always been a close game. No matter what season it is. Even when Jaylen Brown was a rookie, it was still close.
I agree, but let's take into consideration too this as well. All right, the Celtics have had, what have they had in this 15-game win streak? I think they've had like 8. I know I've heard the number. I don't remember exactly how many games, but I think it's like 7 or 8 games where they were down at one point in the game by 18 points, and then they came back and won the game. Right,
Okay.
and they've won all those games to their credit. But that's pretty high average of getting down that far in games. Mm-hmm. And if you do that in a 7-game series against the Cavaliers, if you do that in a 7-game series against the Golden State Warriors, or let's even say the Houston Rockets, by some chance they meet in the finals, you're not going to win those games like that. That's just my opinion. I don't think you can go down that many points on an average on like a playoff type scenario game and still win, and they're doing it a lot. Like they did it against the Hawks. They did it last night, didn't they? Who'd they play yesterday? Or 2 days ago?
I think it was just the Hawks. That was the last game.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like they go down by a lot of points pretty often. And like I said, to their credit, they come back and win. But, I mean, this is another thing I want to say. Tell us what you guys think in the comments section down below. Because I don't think we're too far off on agreeing that they're incredibly well coached and they're a really, really talented team. Mm-hmm. But I think as far as this year is concerned, I really do think the Cavaliers are still making it out of the East.
Right.
Regardless of the regular season records or not. The power rankings are accurate, though. I mean, they're 15 wins in a row, you know? How do you not put them at number 1? So I guess my point is out the door. But still, I don't think they're the best team in the league.
Well, that's just an opinion that you have.
Just an opinion you have that differs from mine as well.
Exactly. But, let's just go over the other power rankings real quick. Sorry as I don't have it up. Warriors are number 2. I'm going to be controversial here. I think the Rockets should be at number 2.
Disagree. I do think the Rockets are I think
James Harden is still continuing his season from last year. Great, amazing player. The offense surrounds around him. And I think we'll go into another topic about the Houston Rockets and Chris Paul later in this video, so stay tuned. But I think the Rockets have been playing awesome. James Harden, of course, balling. And I think this team right now is playing better than the Golden State Warriors. I think this series, when it goes down to the Western Conference Finals, if it's between the Rockets and the Warriors, that'll be a showdown for the ages, and I think it'll be a lot closer than it used to be. Because I know last year was not close at all. Years before it would not be close. But I think the Rockets have finally figured it out. They're shooting the most threes out of anybody in the league, and they're making a lot of them.
They're making a lot of them.
And I think James Harden is still upset that he didn't win that MVP award.
He should have won, by the way.
But I think this is the year that James Harden. No, that's too controversial. I mean, I'll still pick the Warriors, but I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. And for now, I think the Rockets are better than the Warriors.
Can I steal your controversial opinion that you were about to make and actually use it for my own?
Yeah, sure.
Kawhi Leonard ain't MVP this year. I know I predicted it. I changed my mind. It is James Harden. Barring any injury, this man is your MVP.
Okay.
He is offensively so fucking good. It's ridiculous. and I'm going to go back to our original topic for these power rankings, which was the Celtics. Now I'm going to get real controversial. They're the 3rd best team in the league right now.
No, you're crazy.
Golden State is number 1, and number 2 is Houston. Put the Celtics at 3, and then I'm happy with these rankings. I understand that they're number 1 because they're 15 in a row. But for me, they're 3. Houston is so good. And like he said, we're going to talk about them a little bit more. We're going to get more details with the whole Chris Paul, James Harden dynamic. But just to sum it up, I think they are very complete on all sides of the ball. Like defensively, they run this lineup where it's James Harden, and this is without Chris Paul, but they run with like Clint Capella, James Harden, Ryan Anderson, Trevor Ariza, and then Booker, I think. What's his name? I can't remember the guy's name. He's really good on defense, though.
Was it Trevor Booker? No.
Is it Trevor Booker? I honestly think that's who it is. All right, hold on.
All right, before he goes and talks about that, I'm going to say this. I know we didn't talk about most improved player, but I think my most improved player is Clint Capella. I think he had a good season last season, but I think he has improved so much.
PJ Tucker. That's who I meant.
Oh, the guy with the DUI, like a long time ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I think Clint Capella will win Most Improved Player of the Year. I just think he's really that good. And I will be very surprised when he becomes a free agent. But I think he was already a restricted free agent. But when he becomes a free agent in a couple years, I won't be surprised if a bad team pays out the wazoo to get him.
I mean, the way that contracts are going right now, there's no way he doesn't get max wherever he ends up going. Yeah, he's incredible. I really do think their team is super, super complete. PJ Tucker is who I was talking about. And if you watch him on defense for their team, he really adds a lot of, like, aggression on defense that I think they kind of lacked last year.
I wouldn't say they lacked. They definitely lost it because they lost Patrick Beverly. Yeah. And I think he was that guy. But now PJ Tucker has filled in his role. Okay. And he's a lot taller. So I think it works in the fact that he can guard, taller players. So like Kevin Durant, your Draymonds, all those guys.
I don't know, man. I think that team is going to give Golden State a run for their money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I think both teams will make it to the Western Conference Finals. I think, honestly, it's a coin flip. I just think the Warriors have a little bit more shooting, so I think they will eventually win, but it will definitely be one of those 4-3 series. It's one of those series that the NBA will be salivating for because they haven't had a competitive series, especially last year, because last year it was just two teams on a collision course, boring regular season, let's get to the playoffs. But here, we're finally getting an NBA season where we want to watch the regular season again. And it's because all these teams, like the Celtics, like the Rockets, like even the Pistons, the Timberwolves, the 76ers, those teams, even the Lakers, kind of. But, they've all improved and they've all gotten to a point where everyone has been excited for it. NBA viewership is up. NBA social media has been up. And, I mean, this is probably the golden age for the NBA since Michael Jordan. In terms of popularity.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're definitely hitting their stride right now. Adam Silver's killing the game. Who else do we want to talk about on this power rankings list? The Spurs at 4 is awesome to me. I agree, honestly. And they're playing without Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, once Kawhi comes in, it'll be a different discussion. I think those guys will definitely bump up.
They're choosing not to play with him right now, too.
Yeah.
Because he can definitely play. They're just being super cautious.
I just think the rest of the teams are finicky here. I mean, it's very you could mix and match either one. I don't think there's anyone here that I'm like, oh wow, they deserve to be higher, they deserve to be lower. I think all these guys are interchangeable during the week, and we'll have to find out later in the season when everything's over and done with, who were the best players, who were not the best, or sorry, not players but teams. Yeah. And we'll see how it goes on from there.
Yeah. Definitely going to keep getting more interesting as the season goes on, too. Another team I just wanted to talk about quick is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're at 13. I think they're going to start climbing. I think
all 3 games that they're playing this week should be winnable. Phoenix, Washington, and at Utah.
Yeah, they should.
Those are W's. Hopefully, maybe the Wizards game won't be because I know they didn't play the Wizards last year, but. It should be a competitive game with the Wizards and the Bucks, but they should destroy Phoenix and they should honestly destroy Utah. There's no way they shouldn't do that. Yeah. So I better see Giannis with at least 1 or 2 30-plus games during this week.
He should get 3, honestly. Especially going against Utah without Gobert, he should get 30 on them for sure. Milwaukee, though, I will say, I've liked what I've seen from Bledsoe and Giannis together. I like the pick and roll game they got going on. Because that's something we haven't seen a lot of Giannis do, is pick and rolls, because he's never had a really good point guard along with him. I mean, he had Brogdon, who's good.
But he's more of a shooting guard.
Yeah, he's more of a shooting guard. So I really do like Bledsoe so far being a competent point guard for this team.
Right.
in addition to Giannis. So just like keep your eye on their pick and roll game because it's going to keep getting better the more those two work on it together. And as soon as like they have it down packed, Giannis is going to be like unstoppable. He already is, but if he can get that really nailed down with Bledsoe, unstoppable on offense.
Right.
That's just what I want to say. I've been keeping an eye on their pick and roll game because I think it's pretty interesting to note.
Okay. Well, let me move on to a topic since you talked about the guy that I wanted to say, Adam Silver.
Adam Silver.
So we're done for the power rankings. We're moving on to Adam Silver here, and a very interesting point was brought up here, and that people were debating or not whether Adam Silver should be up for the NFL commissioner job. You know, with all the backlash from NFL sponsors, NFL owners, blackballing players, NFL doing a lot of shady stuff. They, maybe this will be the year that Roger Goodell takes the bullet, gets fired, or retires, whatever one he wants to do. And Adam Silver will become the new commissioner for the NFL. Under Adam Silver's guidance and for the NBA, we've gotten rid of Donald Sterling, which is a great move. We've gotten viewership numbers up. He's very innovative in terms of allowing new technology, new ways to watch the game to come into the NBA. And we've seen the results of what happens, and numbers are up. People are watching the game.
And he also seems to be listening to not only the players but the fans as well.
Yes. 100%.
With all the work he's trying to do with, the one and done rule, getting rid of that, it sounds like, this is still probably a little ways off, but the whole marijuana rules,
right,
as far as the NBA is concerned, it sounds like he's trying to work on that too. I really hope he doesn't go to the NFL. I don't really like football first and foremost, despite the fact that I'm going to Monday Night Football tonight. But I think he is very suited for the NBA. And I think the ideas that he has will never happen if he leaves.
Right.
And I want him to stay and make basketball great again.
I will say it's already great, Mr. Trump, but
don't call me that.
but
take that out.
But going what we're talking about here, Adam Silver, great guy, just innovative, wants to look forward to the future, and I think that's what the NFL is lacking. Not to turn this into an NFL podcast, of course, but the NFL with Roger Goodell, it's very stagnant, it's very slow. Even though viewerships are still monstrosity numbers, like monster-like numbers, those monster-like numbers have been dwindling a little bit. Which is, they're still like the most watched TV show on TV, but it's not what it was used to be in like a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely going down quickly.
And it's because they're very stagnant. They're not moving with the future. They're not moving along. They're still having Papa John's as their sponsor. Diss at Papa John's. Their pizza sucks.
It's not good, but it doesn't suck.
It's pretty bad.
It's not that bad.
But to be fair, I'm not a pizza guy anymore. But
what does that mean?
I just don't like to eat pizza anymore.
The fuck?
But that's besides the point.
I don't think we can do this podcast anymore.
Well, goodbye.
Canceled, guys.
Canceled show. But
pizza debacle.
Going back to it, not to just diss Papa John's, but I think the NFL is getting to that point where they're just content. They're not wanting to push forward and get more. And I think the NBA right now is in an innovative state. They're in a state of, we want to get more viewers. We want to get a lot more people. So they're turning to stuff like Twitter, stuff like Instagram, stuff like NBA League Pass on your phone. One-time fee. So I think they're doing a great job of preparing for the future. And they also want to kind of change the way the NBA looks by making it seem like it's more like Twitch.
Yeah, more like video game streaming, which is, it's genius. You know what they should do? And I heard Bill Simmons talk about this on Bill Simmons' podcast. Shouts out. And I think it's genius. We've talked about this with the WWE. For you people who don't watch WWE, there was a whole thing where they came out with this survey and talked about having alternate commentary teams for shows, right?
Right.
And Bill Simmons talked about that for the NBA, which I think is genius. Where you have like you can choose between, like, you get more like straight shooters, like you get the regular commentary teams, and then there's the option of, like, you can listen to, like, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett like commentate over a Celtics game, you know?
Okay.
That's genius. Why don't they do that? But like you called out, the Twitch streaming idea I think is genius. I think that's super innovative, and really, if you look at the way that the internet is going and the way that pop culture is going, that's the way to go.
Yeah, the new wave is Twitch.
I mean, what if they had, like, the NBA Game of the Week, right? And then they just streamed it on Twitch, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People would watch that. Like, one free game a week on Twitch. People are watching that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's innovative, it's smart, and I think the NBA is doing it right. I just think that everyone else is just it's very old school, especially with, like, NBA, not NBA, sorry, but NFL, MLB. It's very caveman-like, not very innovative.
Yeah, they're definitely stuck in the past. And, I mean, it's certainly showing this year with the NFL. You know, despite other problems, it's showing.
Mm-hmm.
But I like I said, just sum it up, I hope Adam Silver doesn't leave. Please stay in the NBA. Let the NFL figure out their own mess. Don't go do it for them.